M.com and download your free phone app today.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
Welcome to Steer the Line, where every Friday we give you NFL analysis, fantasy football breakdowns, and sports betting previews. I'm Christian Giordani, joined alongside Loud Esmond and Rocky Giordani. Now let's get ready to steer the line.
So Christian is strictly backstage tonight, and I have an announcement to make, and that is that this will be the last broadcast of this iteration of this show ever. Steer the Line will be shutting down as of later tonight, and I'll be announcing next week some very exciting news and a new show that's going to be in the same place with a new cast of characters. Unfortunately, the fact that Jeremy moved away to far northern California and has some new work responsibilities has made it impossible for him to continue doing the show. And of course, he was the original co-host, Jeremy James, who was also my longtime radio producer. And then Rocky Giordani, for health reasons, has not been able to join for some months. And Christian has really taken over the role of producing the show and also hosting, so that on nights when I'm not here because of my extensive travel schedule for other engagements that I have to do, that there's somebody here that is hosts the show and is familiar to the audience. So that necessitated some changes, plus just some exciting things going on in my world and in the world of some other folks associated with the show, who will be a new great cast of characters, some very well-known and experienced handicappers will be joining the show starting next week as regular guests, and we are very excited about it. So bear with us. So much for Steer the Line, which has been the moniker of this show for more than a decade now. And time to move on, and time moves on, and it is time for a change, and we are going to make those changes, and you'll find out all about it next week. The Steamroller, one of the deans of sports handicapping here, comes to us from his palatial digs inside the locker room of the Kansas City Chiefs. Great to have you here.
It's good to be here. By the way, welcome to the show, everybody. You just kind of went into your deal, man. You didn't ever welcome everybody.
Oh, no. Yeah, I do that. I think of the people who listen to the show as people that, they've been listening to the show for a long time. They know me. I get emails, I get, text messages. And so it's kind of like talking to people I feel like I know. So I didn't do the big formal. So welcome to the show, everybody. And by the way, it's the last one.
It's good to be here. Good to be here on the last show ever of Steer the Line, buddy.
Yep.
It's an honor.
Great to have you here. And from Little Creek Casino, Scott Keyport. I'm having trouble tonight with those Scots. He is the sportsbook manager there at Little Creek, which is the place where I do all my betting here in Washington State. Because guess what? In Washington State, to bet legally, you actually have to be physically on the property of a legal Native American tribal gaming casino. And so that's how the sportsbook operate here in Washington. None of that DraftKings or Caesars or any of that stuff for us here in Washington. It's strictly an old school go to a sportsbook experience, but also there are kiosks, and you can, if you don't want to talk to a human being, you can do it that way. But I'm old school. I like going to a window, chatting with the guys, and placing my bets and getting my tickets.
Oh, you're the guy I'm always behind. Terrific.
Yes, I'm that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what I'd say to a guy like you, Scott? Go use the freaking kiosk.
Yeah, let's go.
Just saying. All right. So this is all about sports handicapping, and football is the king of all sports as far as I'm concerned. So we're right in the height of the season. I've got some college football things I want to talk about, but Scott, just a couple of quick storylines, or one major one. Brock Purdy out for the 49ers for this game. Some guy named Bryce Allen, Brandon Allen, who's the backup? I didn't even recognize his name.
Yeah, I saw the last name Allen, and that's about all I knew too.
Is it the kid that was the backup for the Niners for a while? Is it Brandon Allen? Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah, Brandon Allen
with the Panthers and amongst others.
So, Scott, that game I saw was off the board in a lot of places. Do you have it up still, or is it off the board still?
We have it back up at -5.5. So it was around 2.5. So that got a 3-point swing with Purdy out. And yeah, but we're taking bets on it again. So I don't know, catch a middle on it maybe if you bet it early. Maybe you can get something in the middle.
And so that game is at Green Bay, and it's Green Bay -5.5 now.
Yep.
All right. Since I just mentioned it, Scott, any feelings on that at all? How dependent is San Francisco on Brock Purdy?
Which
Pardon
Scott?
me?
Steamroller. Sorry.
We're gonna make you work, Lou, for your last
I
show.
know, sorry.
We're gonna make you work.
Steamroller.
Right. Okay. So first of all, it's not the guy I was thinking of. It's not the guy that was the backup for the Carolina that they had in there for a while. I officially don't know who this is. He spent a year at Denver, 3 at Cincinnati, and then this is his first year with the Niners. 56.7% completion rate, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Should fit right in. So yeah, I don't. I've got to fade. No Brock Purdy, buddy. There's just no other way to do that for me.
Yeah, no, I just don't. That is a thing that because of that uncertainty, I don't want anything to do with that game now. I mean, no thanks.
And it's that time of year that Trent Williams is always questionable. So
Right.
that is such a huge factor in that offense for them that you just always have to keep an eye on.
Wouldn't it be something if the 49ers missed the playoffs?
It's a very real possibility.
It's a very real possibility.
And they're down Bosa, of course, on the defensive side, and Charvarius Ward. So they're playing without some guys. Of course, Greenlaw's still out. So
Ayuk gone for the season.
Ayuk gone for the year, right? So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. The Packers team is one of those teams I can't get right.
No.
I had them to cover last week against the Bears. They had won and covered 10 straight against Chicago, and really never threatened to cover that number. So that was hopefully they'll be a little better there at the frozen confines of Lambeau Field. So
a lot of people I know on this Utsa game that's playing right now against Temple.
Terrible pick.
The line was -16.5, and Utsa is not pulling away.
Terrible.
They keep doing.
He just threw a pick. He just threw a pick. McCown just threw a pick at the 5.
Right. After a 75-yard touchdown. And they keep every time they start to pull away, they screw it up. So it's one of those games that's excruciating to watch.
Yeah.
Let's talk some college football. Early window tomorrow. North Carolina Tar Heels against the Boston College Eagles. I've kind of developed a real like for Boston College. I've won on them several times this year. They've kind of grown a gritty, tough personality. They're a tough out under Bill O'Brien, the new coach who came in he came in like February. He was a very late hire. He was working somewhere else when he became the head coach at Boston College. And they said, yeah, okay, we'll let you out of your contract. Go. They're +2.5 against the Tar Heels at home. And it's going to be raining, wet, and windy. Boston College can run the ball. I like them plus the points at home, Scott.
Well, here's my problem with that game, because this is one of the games.
Sorry.
This is one of the games I actually had circled on my card. No more Thomas Castellanos. And that to me is a huge deal, because he was such a dual threat.
Right.
And Grayson James just doesn't bring that aspect to the table. So I think the Tar Heels are going to be able to key on the run more than they would have had to with Castellanos. Grayson James doesn't have the arm that Castellanos has either. This is going to be a small lean for me, but I want no part of Boston College without Castellanos at the helm. I'll lay the points with the Heels.
Scott Keyport, what college games are you taking a lot of action on?
Yeah, I was kind of digging into that game you guys were just talking about. We have basically no action on that one whatsoever.
And why would you? Who on this coast gives a what about North Carolina?
But I kind of like it when I see, or if I were a sports bettor and I saw maybe not a lot of people betting it, that's where I might feel like they're asleep at the wheel a little bit with the number. Maybe have a chance to pick it off. We had Indiana, Ohio State, Purdue, Michigan State. Those are taking some big bets, or some action. Ticket counts up on those. Other than that, it's still kind of smattering around the board. It'll get serious tomorrow morning. People will start to really dig into it.
All right, Steamroller, hit me with some of your top plays.
Well, there are some big games tomorrow, and I've basically picked none of them. So if you like a little spin tonight, I really only liked one game. I liked one play tonight, and that was UTSA team total over, and that appears to be not necessarily going down in flames, but they've taken a couple of hits, so we'll see how that goes. Everything else I really didn't love. If you wanted to take a small spin with UNLV, San Jose State, I've got the under 59.5 there. I think UNLV would be able to play a little bit of defense. Tomorrow, I'm laying the wood with SMU minus 10.5 against UVA. This is a SMU team that has really found their stride. They've won 7 straight, averaged 38 points per game in that stretch. Virginia is inconsistent, but they're inconsistently bad. SMU has stepped up, covered some big numbers. I think they do it again tomorrow.
Gotcha. There's an early game that I think is going to catch a lot of attention in the SEC, and that's Ole Miss versus the Gators, the Rebs against the Gators. I've won on Ole Miss covering huge spreads early in the season repeatedly. Then they sort of dropped off a little bit, dropped a couple of games. I'm on them big tomorrow, minus 10.5 at the Florida Gators. I know the Gators have been playing better. They really had a very hard start to their season, very tough schedule. But Ole Miss is coming off a bye, and they just have a dynamic offense that's really hard to deal with. I just don't see how the Florida Gators stay with them, and I'm laying the 10.5. Steen.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And here's the part that never gets talked about with this Mississippi team, because
they can play defense.
There you go, buddy. They absolutely can play defense. They're the number 6 scoring defense in all of college football, giving up just 14.3 points per game. Gave up just 10 last time out. So this is a team that really comes at you from a couple different directions. Now, they're inconsistent. They tend to sometimes play down to the level of competition, but I'm riding with you tomorrow. I think they cover that number.
So Scott Keyport, any action you guys have taken on that game?
Yeah, we've actually had that point spread slide all the way to 12 for us. So minus 12 for Ole Miss.
Gotcha.
Because it's all the money's coming in, ticket count and the money are all coming in on Ole Miss. So the sharps in the public are all kind of lining up on Ole Miss for that one.
Looks like Temple is going to score a touchdown.
Great. Give me your ball back.
3-yard line.
Oh, you got the spread. See, I got the total. I got the team total over. So great. I hope they go all the way and score on the next play.
Yeah,
so we can get the ball back here.
Yeah, just wow. Okay. Well, several of our friends, David and Tom and Wes, all were hammering. Oh, this is the play of the night, minus 16.5. And I'm like, okay.
I didn't have enough confidence. I didn't have enough confidence in their defense to play that game.
Touchdown Temple.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to avoid that side of the ball completely. I wanted to avoid the Roadrunners defense against the Owls offense, and I wrote that off. I said, you know what, just give me the.
Well, you are smarter than everybody else I talked to about this game. I'll tell you that.
Well, we'll see. We could all be dumb tonight.
A game featuring a lot of defense in college football tomorrow. The Army Black Knights against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. This game is played in Yankee Stadium. It's a weird one. It's this pinstripe bowl that Notre Dame does once a year. They travel, they play a game in Yankee Stadium, which I just think is weird. But anyway, the total is 45.5 in this game. Notre Dame and Army are in the top 5 defensive scoring defense. They're both allow like 10 or 11 points per game or something ridiculous. Is there any reason, Scott Steamroller, to not hammer the under 45.5 in that game?
No, it is again, it's like you looked at my notes. That's another game that I had circled. By the way, Army's second in the nation, giving up 10.8, Notre Dame 11.4. They are third. So the number 2 and 3 defenses square off in this one. And a lot of people will say, well, Notre Dame actually rolled up Navy, and it's a similar kind of offense.
Navy isn't nearly as physical and doesn't play the same defense.
They don't play the same defense, and they play a different style of offense. Navy will occasionally even run the pistol, and Army still runs the traditional triple option. So, anytime you got a triple option team like that, it's going to chew up time. Absolutely. And the difference is Notre Dame's not going to hang 51 on the Black Knights. If you want to make a bet, I'll bet that one.
Well, and as a Notre Dame fan, here's the thing that I've watched for the years. Notre Dame does not run up the score on the service academies. They don't do
Interesting. Yeah.
51-14 has entered the chat, but for the most part, you're right. Oh, here we go. This is what we need. Oh, you can beat the kicker? Yes, you can. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's what I needed.
Oh, he's gone for the touchdown for UTSA. That's crazy.
That's
oh, my gosh. That's insane that just happened on the show 30 seconds back to back.
So, and if you want to play correlated, by the way, Scott, can you play correlated parlays at your place? Can I play Army 14.5 under 45.5?
14.5 under 45.
Same game.
Yeah, you should be able to do that one. We have it's a ratio of it's usually 3 times the spread. If the total is less than 3 times the spread, or less than 3 times the spread, then we won't let you bet that. So that's when you get like what Georgia's sitting at 42-point spread against UMass.
Right.
You aren't going to be able to do a parlay on a total on that or with the total, because that we won't get that ratio because there's
either side.
Yeah.
You can't play either side.
Right.
Okay. I mean, yes, if you wanted to play the under in that game, you really have to thread the needle.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I like both of those plays, Loud. I like Army catching the hook there with 2 touchdowns. And I like, just like everyone else in the world, which scares me, I do like the under 45.5. These are 2 teams that just know how to play defense. I think Notre Dame probably wins, but I just don't know that they're going to have enough possessions to cover the game. And I don't know that they're going to be able to completely shut down this Army offense.
No, I absolutely agree, which means we're both completely wrong.
Okay. Our bettors here are loving the over on that, so there's a good sign for it.
What?
Fade the Little Creek Public is a good sign.
Wait. The Little Creek Public loves the over in that
over because everybody loves the over. We always love the over. We don't pay attention.
And do you have it at 45? You have it at 45.5, or did you shade it a little bit for those
45.5?
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. We start to get weather this time of year, and just one game to watch for weather and how it's going to affect the score. The Boise Broncos are playing the Wyoming Cowboys, and Wyoming is awful. I understand, Steen.
Okay.
But I think the play in this game is under 56.5. They're looking at wind gusts of 25 to 35 miles an hour and ice storms potentially.
Sounds lovely.
In that game. That you cannot kick field goals, or it's okay. Let me put it this way. It's going to be tough to throw a longer than 7-yard pass or more than an extra point in terms of field goal, depending on which way the wind is blowing in the stadium, right? If it's blowing across the stadium, it's going to be extremely difficult to do anything. If they're lucky and it's blowing, ahead or behind the teams, it doesn't affect it as badly. But still, I looked at a bunch of stats, and when the wind gets above 20 miles an hour in terms of gusts, scoring goes down by about 18.5% in college football. That's the stats that I was able to find. So I just think that's kind of interesting. Watch the weather forecast bettors this time of year. It's going to have an effect. All right, that's some college football stuff to talk about. Catch us on the Betting in the Break show, and we will tell you about the late games, and you can catch that tomorrow night at 4:15. Scott, NFL steamroller. Let's start with some NFL stuff. Your beloved Chiefs, they play at the Panthers. They had the tough loss against the Bills. Now, it is plus 11.5 for the Panthers, right, Scott Keyport?
We actually have it down to 10.5.
Okay, here's probably why. The Panthers are playing better. They got 2 wins going into their bye. They're coming off the bye. And here's just something to point out, Scott. And because you're a Chiefs follower, you know this. The Chiefs have only won 2 games this season by more than a single score.
Yep.
Their winning differential is plus 4.9.
Okay.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
Panthers to cover. Panthers to cover.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I do. By the way, War Memorial Stadium in Laramie. Fun fact, by the way, I don't know if you guys knew this or not. Laramie, the highest elevation of any FBS stadium in the nation. Anyway, it's pretty much aligned north to south. The wind's going to be west southwest, so you're going to get mostly a cross breeze. At least depending on what it does there with the swirls inside. But the wind itself will be mostly a cross breeze.
Good luck, folks.
Yeah, so I will have to tell you, though, after that game last night, I don't want to talk about weather affecting games anymore.
No,
as I watched these teams do nothing until the blizzard started, and then they couldn't stop scoring and killed my
So what's interesting is I did a lot of weather research today. Rain doesn't affect scoring much.
No, it doesn't. No.
Snow doesn't affect scoring much. Wind is huge.
If you watched my videos, you would know that. I talk about that every time I talk about a weather game, because people are always betting, and I know Scott Keyport can back me up on this. People are always wanting to pound that under when there's rain or snow, and it doesn't matter. It's all about the wind. And, you saw Russ going against the wind. He's throwing those lollipops in the air, and they just stayed there forever. Luckily, the guys were wide open with nobody within 10 yards of them. But it really didn't seem to have the effect last night that I thought it would. And those gusts were, once that blizzard started, the gusts were 20-25.
I think you got to get to the advanced weather metrics, not just the easy weather metrics. You got to get to the advanced weather metrics.
Fair enough.
Okay, here's early game tomorrow. The Detroit Lions. I'm sorry, Scott Keyport. It just slipped my mind because I didn't write it in my notes. Who are they playing?
Detroit Lions. Who are we playing there? The Colts.
They're at the Colts. They're
Yep.
in a dome. Okay, ready for this set of stats, Steamroller?
Hit me.
The Lions' point differential on the season is number 1 in the league at plus 15.9.
I would think so.
Their last 3 games, their point differential was plus 19.7. In their last game, their point differential was plus 46. They are minus what right now, Mr. Keyport?
7.5.
I'm sorry. I have no way of going any other way on this game but Lions minus the points.
Yeah, they seem angry. When I watch, they seem ready to stick it to people. Like they're getting revenge. It seems like.
Oh my God! People have been kicking the Lions in the ass for 50 years.
Are you watching? You watching this game loud?
No.
Oh,
it's another score?
Not quite, buddy.
Okay.
So to bring it back to the Chiefs real quick, they do have the ability, and you kind of touched on it there with all those games that were decided by 1 score or less. They do have the ability to play down to any team's level, and I think there's a real danger of that happening out there in Carolina. 10 and there is no circumstances I'm backing the Chiefs in double digits. No way. Not going to do it. Plus My kid's going to be at the game in a suite watching the game. He has terrible luck. Chiefs never do well when he's there. So for that reason alone, I'm fading K-State.
Oh, so you're going to blame your son when they lose. That's nice.
He's used to it. It's okay.
There you go. Lions in that game. Is there any other way to go than Lions minus the points?
It seems trappy to me. It seems too good to be true.
It's too obvious, right?
Yeah, it really does. But it's one of those games. I'll probably avoid it. But if I was gun to my head, there's no way I'm taking the Colts side in this. But they've Anthony Richardson actually looks like he learned something when he sat out those few games when Flacco ended up not being the savior. But he looks like, I would say, a completely different quarterback. But he doesn't look inept. In a lot of the metrics and a lot of stats, he was dead last in the league. He doesn't look like that quarterback over the last couple of weeks. So,
all right, quickly, a couple huge line moves in the NFL. The Cowboys Commanders opened Commanders minus
1 minute.
It's moved all the way to minus 10.5. The Broncos opened +3 at the Raiders. It's now Broncos minus 6. I mean, that's two huge line movements. Steamroller, quick take, 30 seconds or less. Either of those games interest you?
No.
Good answer.
Yeah. No. I take the favorites in both. But I'm not gonna miss out on a 9-point line move and then back it. So that's not gonna happen. I don't want to lay that many with Washington. I know the Cowboys are absolutely terrible, but that's a huge number for the Commanders.
Yeah, it's a huge number. And
no interest in real life.
The Broncos playing at Vegas. I don't want to touch that either. Last thing, Philly -3 at Rams. That game's a toss-up to me because you know what scares me about the Rams? Cooper Kupp and Nacua. You never know when they're going to get hot and score 4 touchdowns. And I don't trust Philadelphia.